Hey BrickBloggeteers, Will here, and today we're looking at a special set 910001 Castle in the Forest. Now this is from the BrickLink Designer Studios, and it's probably going to be the rarest from round one, considering LEGO was initially going to do 5,000 copies, then the whole site broke, and when it came back on they said, okay, we'll do 10,000, and by the way, this one's sold out. Now that's not a terrible thing because for the most part, if you don't get it firsthand and instead have to build it out of your bricks, the only thing you're missing is this box and the paper that came with it. Because it's important to mention that all these designer studios only have this single sheet of paper that gives you the instructions on where to go to get onto the LEGO Designer Studio program so that you can get the instructions or grab the PDF to print it out for yourself. All right, let's start off with the last thing you build in the set, which is all the minifigures. Now, as you can see, there are two factions involved. You have the Black Falcons as well as the Stag. I guess I should put the boatmen with the other Stag guys. Now, if you're a longtime fan of Castle, you will recognize that the Stag is an older faction. I will say you're not missing out on any specialized pieces. Any designs on shields that feature the Stag are actually stickers. Now, the shield for the Black Falcon, that is actually a printed sticker. No, a printed shield. What is still a sticker is the Black Falcon flag that is with the knight. They did make a piece like that way back when. This is not a reprint of that. This is more stickers on a basic flag shape. But you have the basic peasant in the middle of these two warring factions. Now, let's get to the so, I want to start off by saying the castle is fantastic looking. The finished product is absolutely great. The designer even put some very nice play features. You can fold out these sides, and since they're on ball joints, you can even pull them out, and that's one thing we do when we're trying to move the whole castle around. Additionally, on this end, it has an opening door feature to get down in there, kind of like the old forestman's hideout. Then the back of the model is also nice and accessible. It has a whole fold-out door here to get to two of the interior floors. There's also the secret boatway down below with the kind of quasi-dock on the left side of your screen, but it's kind of hard to see. I'd say the only weird part of the castle is the gap that's featured on this side where it's the ladder that moves down to that secret area, because it also leads up to the fireplace, which is where a secret trapdoor kind of situation is. It basically folds out, but that's very, very hard to see from pretty much any angle. But to know that it's there is cool. It also has a play feature where you pull out that and a trapdoor falls down, dumping them into the water. And you slide it back in and it's good to go. The plants all over the place are going to be a little tricky and very delicate. Fortunately, when it comes to the bigger things like the trees, they actually build it into the castle, giving the trees a lot more stability. Additionally, this top section can pull straight off, and it's what is connecting to the chain down to the door, so the door can actually be lifted up like a portcullis, and then you drop it back in there to close it. They did a nice thing for that play feature. Again, in the front of the castle, we see the two Stag shields. Each of those, again, are stickers because they're not reprinting those. One thing that's really great for people that are using their basic bricks to build this thing is because of how weathered everything looks. As long as you got the color palette that you like, it's fine if you build it with whichever colors you prefer. It's not going to mess up the design terribly. Now, with that said, there are a lot of arches in this set, so you may not have enough of the pieces the set requires of you, but I think you can do a good approximation if you're just building with whatever you have on hand and making substitutions as needed, and still get a end product that looks fairly similar to this, but it's all your own, which is okay because of how overrun and overgrown all of this is. It's not going to mess it up aesthetically. Now, I will say, I don't think LEGO did a great job in reviewing the designer's work. I think they left it up to the designer themselves. The reason why I say that, and it's not because it's a bad model. I absolutely love the end product. Very, very great detail. Very nice design. The building experience, however, was a little haphazard. So at certain times, a step would have me add, say, 5 pieces. But it would be a piece over here, a piece over there, a piece over here, a piece over there. And sometimes when there was arches involved that kind of hang out into space, none of them were really secured until like 5 steps later. And by that time, I had knocked it down 3-4 times. I mean, just even moving this thing around, I've been knocking off the occasional little plant bit here and there. So the building experience itself is long, tiring, and not as fun. Additionally, when it comes to extra pieces, there's a lot here, so much so that at times you're convinced that I forgot something. I didn't use the right piece in a certain spot. In fact, there are pieces like this white string. It's never even asked for in the model. The closest they come to is on the side over here, where they use a green version of the string. At no point does it ask for a white version of the string, yet one was included. And I think it's because the designer was probably testing a few things out and put it in at one point and took it out at another point, but the parts system just kind of left it all in. So you will feel that there are parts kind of just floating out there. That's, again, that's if you get the set in its original box, because you'll have a numbered bag set. You'll build a whole bunch of things and have still a pile of parts that aren't asked for yet, and you're like, well, when do I use those? And it's not till like for example, the door, 2 bags in, you finally get around to building it, but you had parts for it 2 numbered bag steps ago. So that was frustrating. So I think you'd actually have a better time if you build this with your own parts. Plus, in addition, you can actually go and grab the printed elements of, say, the stag pieces and the flags for the Black Falcons if you wish. I mean, it is going to cost you a little bit more, especially for, depending on which version of the flag of the Black Falcons you get. There are some very expensive versions of there. But you can actually have an even better version of this with building it from parts. So that's all I have to say about this. I will assure you that even if you get some of the more expensive ones in the next couple of rounds from the Brick Designer Studios, you're going to have a finished product that's hands down absolutely fantastic. I can't say the same thing about your building experience. I waited on reviewing this because I also built most of the Great Fishing Boat, and I'm seeing the same types of things where it feels like they never built it in person when designing the instructions. So things that work perfectly fine in an app aren't so stable in real life, and it's a little disconcerting. So expect more of that if you get one of the bigger sets. It seems like the smaller sets, for example, the Sheriff Safe and the Flight, Pursuit of Flight, those weren't as bad. But then again, they were also very much smaller models. This is getting up to, I believe this one was a $200 set, and especially with round 3 coming up, most of them are those higher price points. So expect a little bit of not so great building experience, but when you're done, you'll be happy with the end product. So hopefully all that makes sense. Again, this is set 910001, Castle in the Forest.